Living in the Orlando area is not for everyone. There are things here you're going to have to deal with that you're most likely not dealing with where you are now. So if you can't or won't deal with these things, our area might not be for you. So if you're thinking about moving, maybe you want to watch this video so you can get the heads up on what you're going to have to deal with. I'm also going to give you my advice on how you can deal with it if you're able to. My name is Bent Danholm, and I'm a real estate broker with Maxim Realty Orlando. I've been here almost 25 years, and I've helped a lot of people move to the area. And I realized while I've been able to adapt to these things, and while I've been able to learn to live with these things, not everybody want to do it, or not everybody might be able to live with these things or deal with these things. One of the major issues about living here is traffic. Traffic can be really bad in Central Florida and the Orlando area, specifically around our tourist district and downtown Orlando. These places seems to be constantly congested, and when you get to around Christmas time or Easter time, it's even worse, and you can't imagine how that happened. But the good news is usually there are ways around it. You can quite often choose another route to get where you want to go, or you can go at a different time of day, unless, of course, you are dependent on going for work or school on specific times of day. But for most of us, we learn to deal with it, and we learn to accept that, okay, if we have to go during the worst hour of traffic, we will just need to leave a little bit earlier. But it's something that takes a little getting used to. And I know if you're living in New York City, for instance, and you come down here, even at our worst time, you probably don't think it's too bad. But most people don't live in congested places like this, and I do fully understand why you may not want or may not be able to deal with this traffic that we have around here. I think it's possible to manage, but like I said, I've had some time to get used to it, and I fully understand if that's not the case with you. Another thing that takes a little while to get used to, and for some people might not even be possible to get used to because for health reasons, is our heat and humidity. In the summer, the temperature in this area can reach close to 100 degrees. And if you combine that with 100% humidity or 80% humidity, then walking out the door is like walking into a brick wall. Walking outside can be very exhausting just because of the heat and the humidity. That takes a little time to get used to. And some days you just decide that I don't want to go outside until the evening time because going out during the day is simply just too much. Something you need to get used to if you want to live here, something you have to try to get used to if you want to live here. And I do understand for some people that might not even be possible, because if your health is such that the heat and humidity is just too taxing on you, then it might not be possible. But it's something that I've learned to live with, and the way I've learned to live with it is, like I said, I only go outside in the evening when it's really, really, really hot outside during the day. And I usually just look forward to the fall and the spring where the temperature is a little more manageable, and it's just a very nice time of year. So you get the good with the bad. I mean, at the end of the day, I would much rather suffer the humidity and the heat in the summer than I'll shovel snow in the winter, but that's just me. Another thing that you need to know before you get here, this is actually quite easy to deal with, and it's something that everybody can learn how to deal with. But if you don't know about it, it can be at least a little bit of a shock. We have fire ants in Florida, and fire ants are not native to Florida, but they are a pest. And if you've ever tried to step in a fire ant hill, you know what I'm talking about. It's painful and it itches and it goes on for days after. The good news is if you do have fire ants in your garden, it's pretty easy to get rid of. You can spread out some stuff that is even supposed to be environmentally friendly to get rid of them. And you don't even have to be sorry for the fire ants, because they're not native to Florida. They're not even supposed to be here. They should really not even be here. But it's something that you might want to know before you get here, because not knowing what a fire ant is and stepping in a fire ant hill, that's not nice. And I've tried it several times, even after I knew what they were. Alligators are another issue for people moving here. That's a question I get a lot. I've been here a long time, and I've never felt alligators was a threat. But then again, I do not go swim in the lakes during feeding time or mating time. I don't go swim in the lake, full stop. I stay away from where they are, and I don't feed them. So usually, for most people, they don't have an issue with alligators. And in most communities, if they do get an alligator, they will be removed. But I get that it's a concern for some people. I don't think it's something that you can say you can't deal with, but it might be something that you decide you don't want to deal with. But knowing that I've been here 25 years, I've seen very few alligators, except when I go to the Everglades or some other place where they're actually out in nature. I would say it's very easy to get used to living with alligators, but it's something that you might want to consider. And I know it's a concern for a lot of people who are not used to alligators, but they are not that big of a problem. What is a problem though is lovebugs. Lovebugs is an insect that we have in the spring, in May, June, and they sort of hatch together two and two. I think that's why they're called lovebugs. And they don't bite, they don't sting, they don't do any of that stuff, but they do stick to your car. They have a love for getting splashed out on your windscreen window. They have a love for getting splashed out on your paintwork on your car. So that's a big issue, because that they contain an acid that can actually ruin your paint. Plus the fact that when you had a few splashed out on your windscreen, it can actually be difficult to look out the window. So in May, June, yes, that's something we have to deal with. So just remember, if you get attacked, if you can say that, by lovebugs, you need to get your car washed, and you're going to use a lot of windscreen windscreen wiper fluid during lovebug season. But at least they don't bite. Another thing I learned the hard way in Central Florida and this area is, because of the heat, car batteries last a lot shorter period of time than they do in other parts of the country. I don't know exactly what it is, because they never explained it to me, but my mechanic told me that it's quite common that car batteries, they die out much sooner than they do in other places of the country. I suppose it's got something to do with the heat. So you might want to change your car battery a little bit often, or more often than you do in other places of the country. And one thing, if you like theme parks, that might be the main reason you're moving to Central Florida. I know it is for a lot of people. They move here for the mouse, or for Universal, or for both. If you come here on the less crowded times of year, going to the theme park is quite pleasant. When you live here, there are certain times of year that you definitely want to avoid the theme parks, because when they reach capacity, it is literally like walking like sardines in a tin. It's not pleasant. So you have to get used to maybe plan your trips to the theme parks outside of the most busy tourist seasons. Something to get used to, and something I would imagine that you can't really put on a list that you can't deal with, but maybe you don't want to deal with it. But it's definitely something that's really real here. Hurricanes is another big concern for a lot of people. And obviously hurricanes are a real concern, because hurricanes are massive weather systems that can cause a lot of damage. The good news is, in Central Florida and the Orlando area, we generally don't get that much damage compared to people at the coast, but we do get cat damage from time to time. But if you live in a newer built home, you should not need to worry about too much hurricane damage, but it is something that's a concern for people. So if you decide that you cannot deal with hurricane season, then Central Florida and the Orlando area is definitely not for you. I hope I haven't scared you too much, because I really do love this area. I love living here, and I think that all of the things on the list are things that you should definitely be aware of and definitely take into consideration before you move here. But I also think that, in my opinion, are things that you can live with, things that are actually manageable. But that's entirely up to you, what you think that you can manage. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoy my other videos. And if you do want to know more about how it is to live in Central Florida and the Orlando area, if you want to know more about real estate in this area, I hope you subscribe to my channel and hit that little notification button so you get notified whenever I upload a new video. That way you can stay informed about what's going on. And if you have any comments or any questions or any criticism, please do comment below the video. And if you just like it and don't really want to say why, just give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye for now.